Hey, this is Rich Symbolist, and I just wanted to take a second to show you how I use Duck Soup, which is a amazing extension that's available for Google Play. How I use that to help use my LinkedIn profile to get leads and to use the system as efficiently as possible. So, first off, what I'm going to do is put in my search criteria here. And for this example, I'm going to use optometry president. And we're going to limit this to second degree connections. And we're going to choose United States as our location as well. Okay, so right there you're set with our connections, so forth. I'll show you the options I have set up currently on Duck Soup. And this is what I primarily use to connect with other individuals. And then in a few minutes, I'll show you how to send the individualistic messages and so forth. So at this point, what I'm going to do is have the on triggered for second and third degree connections, even though I'm primarily hitting the second degree. At this point, I only have it limited to second degree because I've had a lot more success connecting with those than I have the third degree. Now, the thing that is obviously interesting is that as the more connections I develop, the more second degree connections I seem to have in common. So it definitely pays to it definitely pays to revisit those search criteria later in the future. So this is what I have set up for my initial message, something quick and to the point that'll help me kind of introduce myself. And I pretty much have a lot of these areas marked off as off. And I tag the profile, which is the important thing, as optometry president or optometrist president in this case. I'm going to go to the skipping, and once again, I have a lot of these triggered off. I like to skip the profile if it is blank. To me personally, that kind of indicates if the profile is blank, then it's not a profile that someone's really taken a lot of care of, and they're not going to be very active on LinkedIn. So I want to try to tag primarily and find people that are active on LinkedIn that are more likely to respond. So I'm going to also skip profiles for optometrist president, which is the tag that I'm using on the previous page. I also do have optometrist owner here tagged as well because that was a previous search criteria that I used. The other thing that I have on here as well is the history skipper. And I basically want to skip any profiles that I visited within the past, we'll say 30, 31 days or 3 months. Either one is fine. So we'll take that. We're going to run that through Ducks. You're going to get a lot of initial skips here, as you'll probably see. So I'm not going to bore you with this part, but this is the part where basically it'll skip all the profiles that I visited and so forth. And then over the next several hours, it'll basically visit these profiles. So we're going to cancel that. And after you obtain a sizable number of connections, what you want to do is reach out to them. Some people do like to potentially do reaching out and connecting on one day and then following up with a message, either later that day or the following day. Either one certainly works. I tend to try to get as many connections as possible and then hit the messages all at one time. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to change our options for Duck Soup. So I'm going to trigger off the send connection request, and I'm going to trigger on the send personalized message for first degree connections. And here what I do is just put a little bit more information in there about what I do. I like to keep it personalized with the first name area right there. So, for my purposes, I am an optometrist, but I also run a website development and design company. So I like to kind of insinuate to them that I am one of them. I'm a doctor just like them. I work in the trenches. So I like to kind of throw that out there, but then also give them a little teaser for what I do. And the most important thing that I've learned from some other people is to offer them something. And I do that in the last component here where I say, message me back with your domain and I'll run a quick analysis for you. It's nothing, it's free for me to do. It's a piece of cake. It takes me 5 minutes and it shows them how they're standing currently and what I can do to potentially help them. And I've had some pretty good success doing that. So that's what I use for the first degree connection. And At this point, what I'm going to do is tag profiles as messaged. This is an important part because you're basically trying to change your tag to tell you and to tell Dux later on that I've already messaged this person, I've already reached out. And personally, I don't want to bother them again if they didn't respond to me the first time. Certainly, they may have forgotten or whatever the case, but I'd rather use Dux for other new clients and try to find other people potentially. So the other area that we're going to change is the skipping tab. And I'm also going to, so I'm going to change this here and skip the profiles tagged as messaged. And then here, I'm going to change it to never skip any profiles. Because for this part, there's a very good likelihood that I may have connected with somebody 2 or 3 days ago. I definitely want to change the history skipper so that I can reactivate that profile and make sure I don't skip them if it was just 2 or 3 days ago that DuckSoup did it. And that's basically it in a nutshell. That's how you can use DuckSoup to reach out to brand new connections and then follow up with Dux pretty regularly. It is my understanding that Dux may be coming out with a automatic message follow-up system as well. That's to be determined still, but it's something that may be on the horizons in the near future. So I think that hopefully that's helpful for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. Thanks a lot.